Hello and welcome to the Sage Business Cloud webinar. In today's session, we'll be looking at the planned upgrade from Sage 1 Cashbook to Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start. We'll cover why we're upgrading to the new platform. We'll take a look at the ins and outs of Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start and cover what this means for you as well. So, looking at today's agenda, what we'll do, first of all, is we'll look at why we're moving on to the Accounting Start platform. We'll take a look at what Accounting Start does. We'll take a look within the program and cover the new and improved features. We'll then go through what this means for you once the upgrade has taken place. And finally, we'll look at some further support options that you'll have in and around your new program. So firstly, we'll have a look at why we're moving on to Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start. So the current Cashbook program is outdated and it's on an old platform, meaning that it's not actively sold or supported anymore by our developers. So when we say it's not really supported from the developer side, it means that any new features, updates and improvements will be applied into the Accounting Start program rather than the Sage 1 Cashbook. Also, Sage 1 Cashbook is not Making Tax Digital compliant. Making Tax Digital, or MTD, is being brought in by HMRC to revolutionize the way that tax and VAT returns are kept and submitted. Now, Sage 1 Cashbook is not compliant for this coming into effect on the 1st of April 2019, but Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start already is. Another reason for the change is that Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start is just a better program. It includes more features and improvements on what's currently available, and this makes it a much more flexible and intuitive accounting solution. So let's take a look at how this is the case there now. So here's a brief summary about what Accounting Start does. This will shed a little bit more light on what we covered on the previous slide. As I say, there's a lot more features and there's more improvements in most areas of the program compared to what you'll have used before. You'll be able to report on a lot more and go into more detailed analysis when you're running your reports at the end of the month, quarter, or year. And you'll also find that it's easier to correct errors and do a lot more with the tools to your disposal. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump into my dummy Accounting Start system. We'll take a quick glance at the program to see how it looks and feels compared to your old Sage 1 Cashbook. So when I log in, this is the screen that I would get. So I'm welcomed with the money in and money out. I'm able to see the balance that I've got so far this year, and I'm also able to see what my totals of invoices would be and what's outstanding and overdue from my customers. I'm also able to see at a glance what my banking is going to look like for my bank account and my cash account. Now this currently is a bit blank, so I'm just using a completely new set of data, and we'll see this summary screen start to change and take more shape as we do more processing. On the right-hand side, I can choose to see what it is this month or this year. I can also add new transactions in from the top, and then I can go into my balance and actually see the movements on from there. Rather than the four big buttons that you will have had on your Cashbook program, you will now get tabs across the top from which you can do more activities. So this is my summary screen. If I go into my sales tab, I'll be able to search for and generate new invoices. I'm also able to say what my outstanding, overdue, paid or draft invoices are. On the Cashbook area, I'm able to see what the movements in and out are going to be on my bank account or my cash account. I can also search for new entries and create new entries from the right-hand side. I've got a Contacts tab where I'm able to see who my customers and suppliers are within the program. So if you're VAT registered, you will have a customer for HMRC and a supplier for the revenue as well, for when you're paying your VAT returns or maybe reclaiming them as well. I've got a couple of custom ones that I've set up, so I've got a customer called A1 Blinds and a supplier called Euro Blinds, who I'll be using throughout the webinar. Now I can create a new customer or import my list of customers and create a new supplier as well. If I go to create a new customer, it'll ask for the business name as well as a few other details, and I can also choose the address, VAT details, and also set some credit terms and bank details up on the program as well. If I want to import my list, I can do so from an Excel spreadsheet. Most of the things you'll be able to import will go into Excel format, and any reports that you'll be able to run will be able to go into Excel or PDF format as well. If I go to my banking tab, I'll be able to see the balance of my bank account and my cash account. And from this screen, I can also create new transactions, manage my bank transfers, and create a new bank account if I'd like. I can import my transactions from a bank statement, so long as it goes into one of the three accepted formats, I can bring this into the program. And I can also connect directly to my bank feed by selecting the Connect Bank option. So you'll have a list of banks that will be set up automatically. You can also choose another bank if your bank doesn't appear on the list, from which you'll be able to connect and enter the details for. If I go into the Reports tab, we'll see that we do have a lot more in terms of reports available. So previously you would have just had a profit and loss and perhaps a transaction history report in terms of being able to see your values and what's actually happened within your program. So you'll get the profit and loss. You'll also get the audit trail, which will be the new version of the transaction history report. You will be able to run this at any time compared to maybe just once per hour as you will have been used to, and also get a whole host of other reports available within the system. Now, I won't go into too much detail into this just yet. I will go into more detail later on in the session. You can also select to have these marked as favorites. So if I go to the favorites tab, only the reports that I want to see will then come up. Also within the program, you've got the More tab. So if I go to More, I can see I can now do journals, VAT returns, and adjust my settings. So a journal is basically a movement of money from one nominal code to another, and this is going to be a new feature of the program. Previously, your accountant might have been able to do this on your behalf, but now you'll be able to show the journals between, let's say, the gross and the net wages, adjust the tax, national insurance elements, or maybe you're wanting to do something like the hire purchase of a vehicle or an asset, or show things for corporation tax. It's going to be useful to split that up into journals to make sure that everything's posting to the correct area on your reports. Next up, I've got my VAT returns. So again, I'll be able to do this from my own program. I won't have to rely on my accountant or bookkeeper system to be able to do this. I can create a new VAT return from the right-hand side, and this will carry forward all the details. Now, we'll process one of these later on in the session once we've got some background information in there. And we've also got the Settings tab, which allows us to adjust and customize our program to make it a little bit more personalized for my processing. I've got the ability to change my invoice and business preferences, so change how things look within the program. I can also adjust my financial settings as far as my categories and my accounting dates and VAT details will be concerned. I'm able to connect up to card payments using Stripe, so this will be useful if you're wanting to send out your invoices and you're wanting to apply maybe a Pay Now button, so you will be able to receive the money a little bit faster and a little bit more efficiently from your customers. If you have your payroll program connected, you can adjust how the data comes in from the payroll system. You can further customize some of the data within your navigation fields, and you'll be able to reset your data and restore your data from the data management area. You can also enter in opening balances from your bank and for your nominal categories, but you generally won't probably need to do this after your upgrade because your data will be carried forward from your Cashbook. There's a quick whistle-stop tour of the program. I'm just going to go back to the Summary tab and we'll just jump back into the slideshow. So we've had a bit of a look of the system. We've got a bit of an understanding of how the program maybe looks and behaves. So we'll take a look at some of the core changes to the functions that you would do on a day-to-day basis. So what has changed within the program? So here's a few key details that have changed. This list is not exhaustive, but a few of the main points that I could pick out. So firstly, we have a more detailed and intuitive summary screen that we've had a quick look at, and we will be able to see the ins and outs of the processing behind that. There was a previous a bank reconciliation that was very basic. You would have just put in what the end date would be and maybe the balance, and then would have kind of hoped for the best. This has since been improved and you'll feel a little bit more functional. The VAT returns are also fully functional, so we'll actually process a VAT return later on in the session. And we've also got category and settings improvements. So in terms of what you can post things to on your general money in, money out, or invoice transactions. So what I'll do is I'll just jump into my program. I will look at the summary screen. So we've had a quick check of what these boxes mean. We can add more details in from here. So let's say I'm going to create a money in transaction. So on here, I can select what my customer is going to be. So I could select my customer A1 blinds. However, if I just have a one-off customer, maybe I'm a shop, and I don't want to record everybody's names down as a separate record, I can leave this blank. For now, I'm going to put A1 blinds in there. I can see where this amount was paid into. So let's just use my bank account. I can say how it was paid in. Let's choose electronic. The date, the reference, if you'd like, and also the amount. So let's say I received £100. Now below this, it will give you the category. So previously you would have been able to say whether it was kind of a sale or maybe a direct expense or maybe an overhead, and you wouldn't have had much flexibility over the codes within the program. However, we'll now have a whole host of reports and also codes to choose from. So anything that will be sales related will come up on this list. So let's say rather than 4,900, I'm wanting to post to 4,000, which is my sales product. I could put in some details, and this will automatically split up the VAT if you are registered as well. If you're not VAT registered, then you won't have to worry about the VAT rate and VAT amount columns. Now within this £100, let's say I wanted to split this up. So if I set this to being 60, it will drop down on a second item line and adjust the VAT accordingly. And let's say I want to post this other one to something slightly different. So let's just say late payment charges. That's going to have no VAT on it, lovely, and I can put in £40 to make sure that my full £100 has been accounted for. Now I can choose to save this or immediately add another money in transaction on afterwards. However, I'm just going to click save on there now, and that's moving me to the Cashbook area where I'm able to see on the activity what actually happened. If I want to go back and edit this transaction, all I need to do is click onto it, and I'll be able to adjust what I'd like. So there that is in my bank account. I can see some movement on the graph on the right hand side. I'm able to see it again on the activity, and from the banking screen, again I can create another new entry. So a number of different places that you can do this sort of thing, but I'm going to stick to the summary screen for now. So I've got £100 coming in this year, which is fine. Now I'm just going to apply a money out transaction. And this will be a very sort of similar scenario, so I could use Euroblinds as my supplier in this case, or let's just say I went to the supermarket and I didn't want to record maybe Asda or Sainsbury's or whoever as the supplier. I just want to show that I've paid some money out on a particular date. So if I just put in a reference of, say, shopping, put in the amount paid of £25. Again, that'll split up the VAT, and I can choose my category from the left-hand side. I can, again, save it, add another one straight on afterwards, or, if I'd like to, I can attach a file. So this would be useful if you've maybe got a picture of your receipt, or maybe a picture of a delivery note from a supplier, something like that. What you could do is you could apply it onto the system so that it's all in the cloud, and all in one nice, easy, consistent place to find. Again, I'm just going to click Save for now. And then once this saves, we'll be able to see the movement actually go into the program. There we go. So we've got £25 going out, £100 going in, and we're now pretty happy with what we've got within the system. So our summary screen is starting to take a little bit more shape. I'm able now to see the money in, money out, and my balance. Now this balance is going to be quite crucial. I'm going to apply this on a bank reconciliation. So previously, you would have put in this balance, you would have put in a date, and then that would have been pretty much it. You would have closed it off and then hoped for the best and make sure that your transactions looked as best as they possibly could. Now if I go into the banking screen, I can load up my bank account. And then once we're inside, what I can do on the top right-hand side is choose to do a reconciliation. So on this screen, we're going to have a lot more availability. So we're going to have the statement date, the statement balance, and the reference, which is as normal. Let's say I put in £75. I can put in a reference of, let's just say, November bank rec. As soon as I click apply, that will unlock the available transactions, and I can choose to enter interest and charges on here. And on the drop-down, I can also choose to reconcile and unreconcile all entries. So this will be useful if you've got hundreds and hundreds of entries, which you may well do when you come to do your monthly or quarterly reconciliations. So if I select this option here, and select OK, it's going to put ticks in the boxes. You can obviously do this individually, but that might be a more useful way to get the totals that you're looking for. Now on the bottom half of the screen, I'll be able to see a summary of my reconciliation so far. So my total received is £100. My total paid is £25. That makes sense based on these two transactions. My starting balance was nil because I'm just setting up a blank set of data. And my target balance, as mentioned up at the top, is £75. Now based on the total received and paid, the reconciled balance comes to £75 too. So what we're always aiming for is a difference of 0. If you have a difference of a positive amount or a negative amount, it means that you might have duplicated something or missed something off from your statement. So that'll be a good way to check to see that everything is correct. Now I can choose to finish this reconciliation. If I've got a difference of 0, I'm quite happy that what I've got in real life has been reflected within my program. I can also save this for later, just put in the draft status, and I'll always be able to come back to this return to finish it off at a later stage. For now, I'm just going to click Finish. And that will save my bank reconciliation and lock it in place. If I want to print this off, I can select the print option up on the top right-hand side, and that will give me a summary of all the transactions that have taken place. So that's going to be incredibly useful because previously you wouldn't have been able to run a bank reconciliation and see the after effects of it. It would just move you on to the next one, so you were never quite certain maybe whereabouts you were. But if I want to go back to a previous reconciliation, I can click on the Banking tab, onto the bank account, select Reconciliations, and there it is. If I select it, I'll be taken back to that screen, and this is something you can do for years or months back. So it's going to be very useful to see how things were and make sure that you're never kind of straying away between your real-life bank account and your one on the program. So that's pretty much a reconciliation sorted out. I know it is a very basic one, but as you put transactions in, the program will just work a bit like a calculator to make sure that what your outcome is as close to real life as possible. And what we'll do is we'll have a quick check of the VAT returns area. So again, a new part of the program that you wouldn't really have had in the past, you might not need to do VAT returns based on maybe you not being registered, or maybe your accountant or bookkeeper does this for you. But a crucial part of the program, being Making Tax Digital Ready, is going to allow us to produce and submit a return to HMRC. So let's say I just want to submit one across now. If I go to just October up until December this year, and then click Calculate, this will show what I would owe to HMRC. So in this case, I've got £10 worth of VAT on my sales, £4.17 on my purchases. Again, the program working a bit like a calculator, and my due amount would be £5.83. Now I can adjust any of these boxes. Your accountant or bookkeeper may advise on this. And up on the top right hand side, I can print this page, get a print preview of it, and also choose the detailed report, which will give me a transaction by transaction breakdown of how these figures on the left hand side have been attained. I can choose to submit this online to the government gateway by putting in my user ID and password, and I can also submit this to HMRC by other means, i.e. do it manually. Now this option probably isn't going to be widely used after April 2019, and this is because everything that HMRC are wanting in this sort of territory would be on a digital basis, and preferably on a transactional basis as well. So we'll still have the opportunity to send this across, but any updates that need to go into the program based on the new legislation from the Revenue will go in and make sure it will be fully compliant by the time you do your first VAT return after the 1st of April. If I want to save this return and submit it at a later date, I can do so. This puts it into a draft status. And then if I want to, I could delete this draft or go back into it to submit it again. So we're just going to leave it as a draft status for now. The final thing we'll look at in terms of what has changed will be our category and settings improvements. So if I go to the More tab and select the Settings option from the list, firstly, I'll have a look at the invoice and business preferences in terms of what I'll be able to do with my invoices. So we'll create an invoice as part of the new features within the program, but we'll just change a few things in terms of what we'd like to see on the back end of that. And we'll also have a look at our chart of accounts and accounting dates and VAT as well, two crucial parts of the program to make sure that everything's looking correct on your system. So the first thing I'll look at will be the logo and document template. So as part of your invoices, you'll be able to choose from one of two templates. You'll have Onyx and Midnight that will hold them. You'll also be able to add a company logo. So let's just choose the Midnight. We can add this company logo in as long as it meets the credentials. And then we've also got the two association logos, which you can apply onto your invoices as well. Let's just click Save on that. And next we'll look at the record and transaction settings. So you can say what your default categories are going to be. So if you're wanting to show them under other types, maybe you're wanting to select maybe 4,000 like I would, rather than 4,900 for your income, and maybe you're wanting to select something other than 5,000 for your kind of outgoings, then I can choose whatever I'd like from this list. So you do get quite a comprehensive list on here. I'll just put general expenses down as my default. Again, your accountant or bookkeeper might advise on this, but this just makes the program as user-friendly as possible for when you're going to be processing, and hopefully cut a few corners whilst also getting the correct results. So I'll just click Save on there now, and then I'll move on to the invoice form settings. So if I'm wanting to set up my invoice numbering from a certain number, I can set my first one to be, let's say, 50. I can also apply what my credit note number is going to be as well, and that will let me set it up too. Now, if I go to my footer details, I can apply a little bit more details on the bottom of my invoices, and on the terms and conditions and notes, I can put in some information that's going to come up on each and every invoice from there on. So maybe I wanted to put in things like my credit terms or my credit days. Maybe I want to put in something like my banking information just so that customers can look at that and pay me. Then I can just put in a bit of text on here. I'll just put in test for now. And when you raise an invoice, you'll expect this to come up each and every time. That'll be a massive time saver and stops it from having any sort of typos or any errors going onto your invoices first time round. I'll click Save there now. So that's my invoices pretty much ready to get going. I'll come back to those in just a few moments. And next we'll have a look at the financial settings and into the chart of accounts. So again, previously on your old Stage 1 Cashbook program, you would have had a little bit of choice in terms of what you could select when you were doing your transactions. But now you'll get a whole host of available accounts to select from. Some will be included by default, some you might want to add in if you'd like to, but I can search under any of these codes and it will go through assets, liabilities, other income, sales, overheads, direct expenses. You'll have a lot available to you, so your accountant or bookkeeper might advise to do things in certain categories, and you'll be able to just apply any of these. For example, if I want to change what general expenses is going to be, I can change the code that's being applied, I can change the group that's going in, and I can also say where this is going to be available within the program. This will determine where my drop-down list will appear. So if I want to include this in my money in and my sales invoices, I can do so. Again, your accountant or bookkeeper might want to advise on what will be the best to select from here, but you'll get a lot more freedom within the program. And you can also create a new category from the top right-hand side. So I can put in any category name I'd like. Let's just put in, say, dividends. I can put in the same thing as the display name. And choose any available category code that's in the program. So let's just use 7592. I can choose whatever type I'd like to. So let's just say if it's going to be a liability. I can also select, if you are registered, the VAT rate. As soon as I click save, that'll add it onto my list. And then I can apply this on any of my money in or money out transactions. So if I go just back to page 2, I can see dividends is now being applied. I can process that on any of my transactions from now on. That's going to be very useful if you are wanting to select a very specific things. There's no limit in terms of how many nominal codes you can apply. And I would say to add on as many as you feel is necessary, because if you do need to get rid of them or anything like that, you've got the availability. For example, if I just click on the other direct expenses, to exclude it from the chart of accounts. And that'll untick the box and make sure that it doesn't come up unnecessarily within the rest of your program. So that's pretty much it in terms of the features that have changed. Now there are a lot of also new values or new features available in the program. So what I'll just do is I'll cover a few of those there now. So again, not an exhaustive list, but 4 things that I've kind of pointed out would be the ability to now raise sales invoices and sales credit notes. You'll also be able to amend the chart of accounts and apply that, so we've taken a bit of a look at that, and we'll also have a look at adding a new code onto my sales invoices or my, my money in and money out. There is the whole host of new reports, so I've had a look at the reporting section, but we'll actually go into more detail and see what these reports will do. And there's also the journals facility, where we've taken a quick look at, but I'll actually process a journal, and we'll see where that comes up on the reports as well. So let's jump back into the program. We'll create a sales invoice. We'll also create a credit note to the right of that as well. So 2 places we can do this. From the summary screen, I can add a new invoice in from here. I can add a new invoice in from here as well. And from the far right hand side. So this middle section is all to do with my invoicing and who owes me money from a customer's perspective. I've also got the sales tab. So if I click on sales, I can create the new invoice from the right hand side. So again, flexible, and it might come down to preference as to how you process this. I'll just select new invoice from the right hand side here, put in a few extra details. Let's just put in some fake information, like fake street, and put in fake town. Okay, so with some information in there, that'll now take me to my invoice. Now on here, the customer will be a necessary field, so in this case I will be using A1 blinds, although I can add a new customer record in from here. I'll put the invoice address of my customer record in, and I can put a reference as well. Now in the description, I can put in whatever I'd like on here, so let's just put in test invoice. That'll allow me to select my category, so anything that's being applied onto my sales invoices from my chart of accounts, I can add in from here. So all within the 4,000s or sales range. I can also choose to create a new ledger account from here, put in what the category is going to be, the code, the name, and if applicable, the VAT rate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it on code 4,000. I'm going to put in my amount. So again, let's use a pretty rounded figure like £250. That'll apply what it needs to give us a total of 300 with the VAT included. We can see that the terms and conditions have added the test wording in there, so I know that my terms and conditions are doing the right thing and it's pulled through onto the invoice. And on the right hand side, I can see a little bit of a total and a bit of a summary, so I can see how it's been broken down if I'd like to from a VAT perspective. You can add in as many item lines as you'd like, and you can then choose to save the invoice, or choose to save it as a draft and further configure it, or you can just add a new invoice immediately as soon as you save it. But for now, I'm going to save my invoice. That'll take me to the completed invoice screen, and from here I'll be able to generate a new one, view my invoices, and also record the payment. So if I click record payment, that'll put the amount in, so I can choose to part pay this if I'd like to. I can apply a discount, and I can also put in when it's been paid, where it's been paid into, and if I want to, a reference as well. So let's record £250 of this 300 in there. That'll mark the invoice as being part paid, and we can see that the payment's been applied as of today, and I've even got the option to refund that. Now maybe if I'm wanting to send my invoices out via email to my customer and I'm wanting them to hopefully pay me a little bit faster, I can turn on card payments. So this is using something called Stripe, and it is free to apply on there. So what this will do is it'll just add a little button on, and maybe rather than you having a potentially awkward conversation with a customer who's maybe not as quick to pay you, rather than giving them a phone call and saying, where is this money, is this invoice is overdue, they'll hopefully be prompted using that little option to make sure that they can put in their card details, make the payment there and then you'll see that come into your account automatically and then into your banking screen as efficiently as possible. Now if I want to, I can further email this, print this, edit this, add a credit note in, so I'll actually apply one of these in just a moment. I'll be able to copy it or download it as well. So if I just click the print option, that'll load up into a new window or a new tab, and that'll give me the look of how the invoice is going to be. I can choose to now download this, print it off, do whatever I'd like with it, and then once I've sent it out, I can mark it as such too, and this will say it's been sent up in the top left-hand side. Now, let's say that on this invoice, we've had £250 come in, but let's say it was for some faulty goods and there was some bit of the invoice that wasn't going to be payable. This £50 might need to be credited. So I'm going to add a credit note on there now. That will apply itself to A1 blinds. It's going to put in the amount, and it's going to show me what the overall amount on here is going to be. So I could just put in the overall £50. So let's just set it to be no VAT. We'll put it to £50 here, and then as soon as I save the credit note, it's going to apply itself onto the invoice, and it's going to show that's been fully allocated. So if I just select save on here, there we go, my credit note has been raised to 50 and has been allocated against sales invoice 50 as well. So again, if I wanted to, I can look at all my credit notes, I could further send this out or email it, and I can also just go back into my customer record to see the movement and the activity on there as well. However, I'm just going to go into my sales invoices. I'm going to see the credit note and the invoice, and the overall amount is going to show as paid, £250 actually coming in through the bank account, and £50 being allocated against the credit note. Now, if I ever want to have a look to see what's been done on this record, I can select A1 blinds from the option on the left-hand side, and that will give me a bit of a summary on their record. We'll be able to see the invoice, the credit note, the allocation of them, and then there's also going to be the customer received the payment against the invoice and the money in transaction that we did a little bit earlier to demonstrate how things look within the bank. Now, if I click onto the customer allocation, we can see, again, the value isn't nil, but it will be logged against the invoice and the credit note. I can change the address of the customer record, change the payment details by putting in some extra bank information, and I can also choose to add a VAT number and change the credit terms by clicking the box on the left. So, pretty good in terms of what you can do on the back end of invoices, as well as being able to raise them and the ability to raise credit notes as well. So it is pretty flexible in what you'll be able to do. You'll also get some extra information in terms of how many sales you've had to date, the average sale, and when the last one came in. But if I now go back to my summary screen, we've now got a little bit of extra information on the invoices, so I know that nothing's owed to me based on my invoices. And again, I can choose to see what my bank balance is, and this has now upped itself to £325 based on the invoice payments that I've had. So that's pretty good. Again, if I want to go back onto my chart of accounts to add more things in for my invoices, let's just go back into the settings and back onto the chart of accounts. We'll find our dividends code. So let's say for some reason I'm wanting to put that onto an invoice. I can tick the sales invoice area, go back to the sales, and if I create a new invoice, let's put in test here, and on the category, we should now get, there we go, 7592 for dividends. So it's easy as that to apply onto an invoice. All you need to do is put in a new code or select one of the existing codes, tick the box to include it on sales invoices, and lo and behold, it'll come up on here to make sure that your reports, again, reflect what you're doing on your invoicing. So speaking of reports, I'll have a look at those there now. So previously you would have had the profit and loss. I'll just select this to show what it still looks like. So on here you'll be able to see what your sales, direct expenses, and if applicable your overheads are going to look like. I can choose to have this month, this quarter, and a whole host of other different periods, and also select a custom range to go from whenever I'd like. So let's say even if I wanted to go back to 2010, I can calculate based on that, and it would give me the results. I get the ability to export this into an Excel format or a PDF format. And this would be the case for all of the reports available within the program. So I've got a balance sheet which shows what my assets and liabilities would be, my age debtors to see who owes me money and what makes up that amount. On the right hand side I'll have my advanced reports, so I'll be able to see what my sales daybook reports are, so I'll be able to have an actual report that reflects what my sales have been. I have a trial balance which will show me everything that's affected a nominal category. And we'll also have the category activity to see on a transactional basis what has had hit against that category as well. My audit trail will allow me to see any specific thing within the program, so any transaction, any particular bit of information that's gone through the bank, gone through my sales, I'll be able to pick up from here. And I'll also be able to look at the report for the chart of accounts, so not only will I be able to get a list of all my codes I can use, I can get that printed off and maybe sent to a director or send it off to an accountant or bookkeeper, so they have an idea of maybe what to work with and what to apply. On the bottom left hand side I'll have my cash flow statement report. I'll have my income and expense daybook report, which will show my income and my money out transactions all going through. I'll be able to run an unreconciled bank transactions report, which will tell me what's not been included yet on a bank reconciliation, or will give me a good idea about what is then going to be applied onto the next one. And I'll be able to see a Cashbook report, which will just be across my banks, what has actually happened, and what is the activity available of my transactions. I can run a VAT return from the right-hand side, and I can choose for GDPR purposes which sort of contact personal data I would like to remove if I no longer need to keep the records past any dates that I'd need to. So that's going to be quite useful to use. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to look into the journals. I'm going to create a journal, and then we're going to look into the trial balance report, and we'll see what's actually hit against that as well. So currently my trial balance will show a little bit of information in terms of the transactions I've processed so far, but we'll hope to add to this list by processing a journal now. So as I say, a journal is a movement of money from one nominal code to another. You can include as many nominal codes as you feel like you need to, and this might be something that your accountant or bookkeeper may advise on and may want to do rather than yourself, but the option will be available. So I'll just give it a quick reference. Let's just use Journal 1. We'll use today's date, and if I'd like to, I can put in a description of what this is all going to be about. And let's just choose from a range of categories. So let's just go and choose 4 random categories. I'll choose property cost. I can put in further details if I'd like to, and I can choose to debit or credit this code. I can also choose to include this in the VAT return. This box will be available if you are VAT registered, but what I would recommend again is to only tick this box if your accountant or bookkeeper would recommend doing so. Now what I'll do is I'm going to put in £100 on the debit side. A debit would be money going into this nominal category, and a credit would be money going out. So you could think of it as a banking transaction. If a customer pays you some money, you would be debiting the bank account by X amount, and crediting would be you paying a supplier out of your bank. So I've selected 0010, which is property cost. Let's choose another one, which is pension, and let's put a credit onto this balance. Let's use £55. We'll use something slightly higher up, so let's use subcontractors and apply £75 on this one. And then to balance it out, we'll put the remaining amount in a code somewhere in the 7,000 range. Let's put in electricity. So £120 on there. We always need the journal to balance itself out, so long as the totals on both the left and the right hand side are correct, then we can save this or save and create a new journal as I'd like. I'm just going to click save for now. I can choose to delete this journal or go back into it, and I've got the ability to copy it, reverse it, print it, delete it, or again attach a file if I'd like to, and that again might be something on a bookkeeper or an accountant's recommendation. Now, journals again can also be used for a multitude of reasons, one of which could be for correcting any errors that have been maybe logged in via maybe a bank reconciliation or a VAT return. It might be for opening balances or movement of stock. It could be used for your payroll and splitting up your net wages, your tax, your pension, national insurance. All of that sort of information can be done via journals. So very flexible, very intuitive part of the program. And you'll probably be able to find that a journal could be able to help you with your accounting should you notice that anything was a little bit awry. So we've completed a journal there now. If I go back into my reports, and if I go into the trial balance, we'll hopefully see a little bit more applied on here. So 4 new codes added in. I can see the property cost has now got some information on there, so that's the debit from the journal. My bank account has got transactions making up the 325. My VAT on sales and purchases based on my transactions, and things like my pension, late payment charges, things that I've just put through on my journals and other transactions within the system, we can see that this is starting to take more shape as we're going through the program. Again, this little report on the right-hand side will be able to print out into a PDF or download into a CSV, into Excel. We're also able, if we want to show any brought forward values, to split it up into 3 separate columns about what's been brought forward, what's happened in this month, and then the totals as well. It's a very flexible part of the program. I would recommend to check out the trial balance report, the balance sheet report, and the profit and loss, because they're going to be essential for when you're running maybe your month end, your year end. It's going to be quite useful to have as a tracking device on your transactions over the course of your accounting life as well. So they are a few bits and pieces, certainly within the program, that I thought would be quite important compared to your Cashbook that you won't have been able to use. So you might be able to do a little bit more in terms of error corrections, processing your transactions, and having a bit more freedom within your accounts as well. So what I'm going to do is just run it into the final part of today's webinar, which shows what this means for you. So here are a number of examples about what you'll be able to kind of gain from the new piece of software. So firstly, there is no added cost with the upgrade, so what you're paying right now is what you'll pay for Sage Business Cloud Accounting Start. You'll be making tax digital and VAT compliant ready for the 1st of April 2019 if you are VAT registered. You'll have more flexibility and options available for processing within your program, and also your data will be upgraded for you. It'll be done so automatically as well, so all your data will be as it was. You don't have to worry about starting again from scratch or any previous moment in time like a financial year end or a VAT return or anything like that. All your data will be there sitting and waiting for you to kind of pick up from where you would have left off. So that's pretty much it in terms of processing and what you'll be able to do. So I think generally it is quite an intuitive program. I do like the way that you are able to use it, and it does offer more freedom compared to the old Sage 1 Cashbook, which is very limited, and you found yourself maybe running into dead ends quite quickly if you were trying to do something which is slightly outside of the program's boundaries. So in terms of the further support options that are available, the link down at the bottom, help.sage1.com/en_UK/start would be the exact help page for anything relating to the Accounting Start program. That will allow you to see help articles, help videos, and bits and pieces in terms of blogs and advice that might allow you to check things at any moment in time. This webinar session, of course, will be in the Help Center at some point in the very near future, so you'll be able to run this back, play this back at any time. So it might be useful to use as a reference point when you do upgrade your data. When the data is going to be upgraded, that's going to be sometime within the next 30 days or so as of the point of recording this webinar. So you will see this happen at some point in the near future. Again, nothing that you'll need to worry about, nothing that you'll need to action on your side. You will just see the new program for yourself at some point very shortly. So thank you very much for watching this webinar. If you do have any questions or any further kind of queries beyond this webinar, if this hasn't answered maybe things in a specific scenario, then you are able to drop us an email on sagebusinesscloudsupport@sage.com. That email is monitored 24/7, so you can drop us an email at any stage and there will be somebody to answer your query. We also have a telephone number which is 0845 111 6611, which we are looking to move away from, but that again is available 24/7. We also have web chat support from 9 o'clock till 8 o'clock on a Monday to Friday basis as well. Your one-stop shop for anything Sage 1 related or Sage Business Cloud related would be www.sage1.com. From there you can go to the Help Center, apply more things like maybe add your payroll to the start package, or maybe just increase this up if you feel like the program is going to be in any way restricting. But I would recommend to check the website if there's anything that ever crops up, because you will be able to get help articles, help files, and videos pretty much across any topic and any scenario that might crop up. So hopefully this has given you a little bit more confidence, a little bit more kind of clarity on what you're going to be processing in your new program, and maybe resolve any queries or concerns that you'll have had beforehand. Again, once again, thank you for attending today's session, and I hope to see you on a future webinar.